Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are bringing in a couple of more chairs. It looks like right now we're almost at standing room only. We've got some up front, if you guys want to be right in front of me.
You're good.
Can everybody hear me okay? Thanks, Preston. All right, guys. Thank you all for being here. It's awesome to see so many people here. We're at a really crucial point right now in disability services history. As we approach August 8th, which is the deadline for public comment, it becomes more and more and more important to act every day. So it's really great to see so many people here this afternoon/evening. I want to take a moment to welcome those of you who know firsthand what recreational therapy is, as well as anybody who is here to learn about recreational therapy. I want to welcome any of our viewers back here on Zoom or via Stream Recreational Therapists of Indiana on Facebook. Both platforms are going to be streaming our 2 upcoming town halls, one of which is tomorrow night in Fishers at 6 p.m., and the other one is in Northwest Indiana on August 4th at Crown Point Library. So tune in for those. I know that the Crown Point is a little farther away, but the Fisher Point is drivable for some of you. We'd love to have you at either of those events as well. I would especially like to welcome any legislators or representatives of the Bureau of Disability Services who may be joining us virtually this evening. Also a special welcome to Matt Rodway, the Disability Ombudsman, who may be joining us online. You know, I'd like to take a moment before we begin to tell a little story about somebody I know. I'd like to introduce you guys to one of my friends, Adeline. Adeline, you want to raise your hand over there? Adeline knows that I'm going to be saying something about her, but she doesn't exactly know what. I think that was probably her hesitancy in coming up here. I said, Adeline, do you want to come up and say hi? I don't know what you're going to say, Tyler. So she's in a safe corner right now. Perfect. So I had the pleasure of meeting Adeline about 5 years ago to a friend and colleague of mine who's also a recreational therapist. Back then, Adeline had some more serious difficulties with things like balance and strength, coordination. She was a bit unsure of herself and nervous in certain situations. But over the years of weekly recreational therapy, accompanied by occupational therapy and behavioral therapy, I'm sure if she's here yet, I was going to plug her note. Addie developed skills. She developed upper body strength, hand-eye coordination, learned to love new faces and new places. But Adeline wanted to do something that so many of her typically developing peers just took for granted. She wanted to just be on a basketball team. But for a long time, that just felt out of reach. We weren't there. Now, a couple months ago, Adeline decided to join a basketball team. Adeline played her very first game of 3. And what did you do in one of those games? She made a bucket. Yes, she did. And it was awesome. Adeline, I'm going to speak for myself, but I think I can speak for your family and your behavior consultant and your entire team. Extremely proud of what you've done. You put in a ton of work. You showed up week after week after week. I don't know that in 4.5 years you've ever canceled a session. And I know that I cannot say that about anyone else that I've ever worked with. So, due to all of your hard work and your determination, that's what made that moment possible, is your hard work. So, join me in welcoming her, thanking Adeline, congratulating Adeline. Guess I'm a little behind on my slides here, huh? Kind of forgot Sean gave me quicker. There we go. All right. There's Adeline doing a whole bunch of cool stuff. Working on different sport-specific skills, appropriate interoceptive activities, hand-eye coordination, balance, targeted stuff. But perhaps that just doesn't appeal to you, so let's talk some numbers. Numbers like $3. Study conducted by the VA showed that every dollar spent in community-based recreational therapy saves $3 in downstream medical costs associated with things like costly chronic ongoing health conditions and hospitalizations. Numbers like hospitalizations. That 100% higher rate of hospitalization for people with adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities as compared to the general population. Now, when we look at the costliness of this, on average, a single night hospital visit in the state of Indiana paid for by Medicaid is $3,100. Numbers like 3.1. On average, adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities have a social network size of just over 3 people. We compare that to the general population, and we see average social network sizes of 125. There's a discrepancy there. Social isolation is not just incredibly painful, folks. It's actually dangerous. Loneliness is an experience that a lot of us experience at some point, but it also comes with serious mental health issues. Loneliness is also a significant risk factor for things like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and dementia. 9%, only 9% of adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities reach the CDC's guidelines for weekly physical activity. It's 150 minutes a week. 9%. Pretty low number. That's why we see 40% of kids with intellectual and developmental disabilities obese. We've all heard that sitting is the new smoking, and it is true. Sedentary behavior is a risk factor for those same exact things as loneliness. It's a double whammy. Things like heart disease, the #1 leading cause of death in the nation. Things like type 2 diabetes, a largely preventable disease, but the single most costly chronic disease in the nation. Medicaid spends $9 billion a year just on 12 diabetes medications. Now, I'm not here to change that number. We're not here to change that number, but we don't want to contribute to it. 140%. Of a survey of 137 recreational therapists in the waiver field, the proposed caps are 140% lower than the average utilization now. Before we move on, what does that tell me? Well, #1, it tells me that recreational therapy is not just a supportive service, it's actually preventative. It's smart. It's a life-saving investment in people, and it's a fantastic long-term cost savings option. So, the proposed caps for recreational therapy and music therapy at 6 hours a month and behavioral therapy at 12 hours a month directly undermine the utility of these services. They don't capture the complexity and the consistency of services that people like Adam rely on. So while we're here tonight to tell our stories, to ask questions, to listen to other people's stories, one of the main reasons we're here tonight, folks, is because we have to act. We have to do something now. So around the room and on the board, turn it up. You got me? Around the room and on the board, we're going to see a lot of QR codes floating around tonight, okay? So these 6 QR codes are the same ones that are on tables. They're the same ones that are posted around. Thanks, Alex. If you guys don't know how to access the QR code, talk to one of us in the yellow shirts. We can show you what it is. What these do is they basically bring up your whatever default email app you have on your phone with an email template and the address already in the line. This allows you to instantly submit a pre-written response to public comment. Now, because it's bringing you up to your Gmail app or whatever you use, you can also edit or amend it. So if you have something else you want to include in there, by all means do so. You're going to scan the letter based on your position in this whole thing. And then the bottom right is a neat little link to a link tree for My Voice, My RT. This is going to give you tons of action items. It's going to give you different letter writing prompts. It's going to have videos of things like this. So throughout the night, we're going to go by a really rough agenda. Here we are in open comment. We're going to move on to some speaker testimonies. We've got some really cool speakers coming up here today. Then we're going to move on to a Q&A section. We're going to have 5 people on our panel, both peers and professionals, and we'll give you guys an opportunity to ask them whatever questions you find pertinent. And finally, we're going to have public comment here. We're going to provide you guys an opportunity to speak your word. So before we begin, I want to play a really short video by Dr. Brent Wolf. For those of you who don't know who Dr. Brent Wolf is, he is the executive director of ATRA, which is the American Therapeutic Recreation Association, which is our national body here in the country. They do things like support research, continuing education, and advocacy efforts very similar to these. So Dr. Wolf has actually recorded this video specifically for this series of town hall events. So let's go ahead and give it a listen.
My name is Dr. Brent Wolf, and I serve as the Executive Director for the American Therapeutic Recreation Association. I'd like to take just a moment to speak directly to what's happening right now in Indiana and why it matters. Recreational therapy is a medically necessary service that uses recreation and activity interventions to help people with disabilities and chronic conditions to improve their physical, emotional, cognitive, and social health. It's not just play. It is an evidence-based treatment, and it works, especially for people whose needs aren't fully met by other therapies. Recreational therapy, it's different from physical therapy, occupational therapy, or speech-language pathology. While those therapies might focus on isolated skill development, rec therapy looks at the whole person. It helps individuals apply skills in real-life settings, helping people build confidence, increase independence, and improve their overall quality of life. We help people live fuller lives, not just complete exercises at a clinic. That's why it's so alarming to hear about the proposal to cap rec therapy services under the Indiana Medicaid waiver to just 6 hours per month per client. This would be a devastating blow, not just to the people who rely on these services, but to the recreational therapists in Indiana who are fighting to provide the care that their clients need and deserve. Thank you very much for your time.
Well done, Brent. Wow. Brent's got some wise words. He's always got wise words. Okay, so we're going to move into the speaker testimonial portion, but before we do that, I want to go ahead and walk you guys around the room with some things that we have. Okay, so on the left over here, if you see the sticky notes on the board, the goal of this is to be a visual representation of what we do in recreational therapy and why we do it. So before you guys leave tonight, I encourage you to walk over there, talk to Emily, boom, and she can walk you through with what to do. The prompt is basically what does rec therapy mean to you. So by the end of the night, I want as many posters on that wall as we can get. On that same table, we've got snacks. Have fun. Those are all yours. On the very back, we've got, this is the letter writing campaign. Bailey's manning that. You want to raise your hand, Bailey, so everybody knows? File yourself through the line before the night's over. There's some really good fact sheets back there. There's some letter writing campaigns, some that there's templates already for, others that you can write yourselves. There's a great goal sheet back there. There's a visual representation also of recreational therapy. On the right over here, Boyd, go ahead and raise your hand. Should you want to provide a testimonial or ask a question, but you would prefer not to speak, make your way over to Boyd. She's got some writing utensils and some paper. You guys can scratch down your question, your comment, your testimonial, and somebody will read those for you. Should you find yourself in need of a restroom? Boom, around the corner, Maggie will present where the restroom is. Around the corner to the left. Also, should you find yourself in need of a quiet space? We have 2 quiet rooms reserved on the left around the corner. They're both open. You don't need to talk to anybody. Just go use those at your discretion. Okay? So, with all of that in mind, let's go ahead and bring up our first speaker. Our first speaker has 6 kids, 3 of which are currently receiving recreational therapy services through the Medicaid waiver. Jen Thompson is passionate about creating an environment in her home and in the community that supports long-term independence and growth. So join me in welcoming Jen Thompson.
And Taylor.
So I do, as Tyler said, I have 6 kids, and at this point in time, what they're doing is just really frustrating to me. I'm going to read you my youngest one, who's on the spectrum, is 21, and she's shy, so she didn't want to come and speak. So I have something to read. I'm going to try to get through it. Maggie and I have known each other for a very long time. So Maggie is our therapist. We had McKiley first, who's scared. Then we had Skylar, and now we have Maggie. We like to go through our therapists. As you all know, they switch. She is like a best friend, but works as a rec therapist. I see her 3 times a week, where we focus on exercise and emotional regulation. She has helped me evolve in my healing and grounding during bad days and meltdowns. I like that I have someone that listens and helps with emotional support. I like that she has somebody who helps with emotional support. During my most vulnerable times when I don't feel myself, I have somebody that listens to me and is patient with me. She is my safe space. Whenever I need out of the house and regulated, she is there. Even when I don't feel like doing anything, I feel good after I get out and exercise. I am able to think more clearly. Maggie knows that I used to use a walking cane for emotional support. We call it her emotional support stick. She knows it helps me feel emotionally supported, reducing my anxiety in the community. She also teaches me affirmations, and I learn about boundaries, ensuring I feel safe around people. Maggie knows that due to my traumas in the past, I have a lot of anxiety around new people. She has ensured that those introduced to me are producing a safe and welcoming environment where I can learn healthy relationships and boundaries. She is very supportive of what I like to do, including those interests in our sessions. We go to the library and draw, work on my web comic. We walk outside not only to regulate my emotions, but to get inspiration for these comics. So that is Addie's. Okay, so this is Taylor. He's my most severe on the spectrum. We have some questions for him. So what is your favorite thing about rec therapy? What's your favorite thing about rec therapy?
Yeah, socialize, reduce my anxiety, and
anything else about it? How would you feel if that you were told you couldn't do rec therapy, but just a little bit? How would that make you feel?
makes me sad.
Okay. And then, what does the rec therapy do for your brain? How does it affect your brain? What do you do when you come back? If you're in a bad mood when you leave the house, how do you feel when you come home?
Makes me feel upset, huh?
Well, if it goes away, but how do you feel better or worse when you come back after you've exercised?
I come back after I exercise.
And you feel better?
Yeah?
Okay. So would you be really sad if you couldn't do it anymore?
Yeah.
Or if it was just a little bit? Do you like your schedule for the week?
Yeah.
Okay. And would it make you sad if that schedule changed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about the group outings?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some group outings that you've done this year?
Yeah, group outings, I did Kings Island, and I did Holiday World.
What about the picnic? Did you like that one?
Yeah, I like picnics.
What about the football bowling?
Yeah, football boy.
Did you like that one too?
Yeah.
Who did you see there?
Oh, it was Matthew Keck since 2023.
I know, okay. Thank you. Good job, buddy. Alright, so I'm going to try to be brief, but I really want to get some points across as a mom that has 3 on doing rec therapy. Now we've been on this journey. Taylor and Spencer, they're identical twins, were diagnosed when they were 5. Addie was diagnosed when she was 4. My oldest was diagnosed when she was 15. So we have been around the block. They are now 23, 21, and 24. So we've been around the block with this one a few times. We have done every therapy that has been given to us. I cannot imagine if they came up to me and told me now I could only have 12 hours of BCBA a month. I would look at them and like, well, what are you going to accomplish? I had a BCBA in my house every day for weeks, teaching them hygiene and schedules and such, which now we are learning and transitioning into with the rec therapy. When they are in school, all my autism kids have transitioned out of school. When they are in school, they are doing adaptive PE. They are doing regular PE. They are included in the extracurricular activities. My boys ran cross country, which McKiley was helping with. We found we needed some more help to keep Taylor focused and kind of help him on. Otherwise, he was last all the time because that's just what he liked, the cheering at the end. They would all cheer for him when he came in. And so he was last. I was like, this is not a fit. We need to run faster. And so those helped get him motivated, and that was one of the things. But now, as they are adults, they don't have it. They sit at home, and if they didn't have rec therapy, they would not be getting out. And I just wanted to give some statistics. And again, this is from a mom with adults on the spectrum, and we are forging our way because there's all these adults that are coming up that are now transitioning, and there is a void right now with services for young adults because they're not in school anymore, and yet it's just, as parents, we're like, now what do we do? What are we doing here? So from our government, it says that exercise is essential for mental health. And we are talking about exercise and getting out of the house for kids or young adults who are already have mental issues, where they're not at the capacity, they're already suffering in that area, and so it's even more important for them. Our government recommends 150 minutes a week of exercise. There is absolutely no way that we can accomplish that from what the government tells us is the best to do at a minimum in 6 hours a month. There is absolutely no way. Consistency matters, especially for our kids. They are scheduled. I can tell you, our house, if the schedule gets missed and it is not right, it is days sometimes before we get back on schedule, and they're doing better, and that is one thing that rec therapy has helped. That when our schedule changes, it's okay. We can still go out and walk even though Maggie's not there. So that's another thing, is consistency matters. For ages 18 to 64, our government says 150 to 300 minutes a week minimum. So that's going through that. They also said on their website, it improves sleep, which you know, I don't know how many people know, but we know sleep is hard to come by sometimes for our kids. And if getting them out helps their sleep, that's going to help their health. So looking at rec therapy as not as just being something where they're going to do things, it is not. It is for their health. It is essential for their health. It lowers their anxiety. I don't know about everybody who's watching and listening, but our kids' anxiety is through the roof, and we have others. It is one of the things we fight the most. Addie, the one whose letter I wrote, when she starts getting anxious because of rec therapy, she says, I gotta go take a walk. Takes her stick, we live in a neighborhood, and she just goes down the way she goes back. She's like, I feel better. She is putting into practice those things that she's being taught through rec therapy. And then also better mood, and she does come back in a better mood. Groups. Exercising in groups improves motivation, and this is what I'm talking about. The groups that Tyler puts together are amazing. Accountability, and it reduces isolation, which is what Tyler talked about. Our kids are isolated. They don't have friends. But by putting him in this group, Taylor goes out with Allie and Jacqueline, somebody they met, and just off, they were out doing their rec therapy. Maggie and Taylor were doing their rec therapy, and now they meet once a month together. If we are limited to 6 hours a month, that goes away. So you are not only taking away the ability to get out, but you are taking away socialization if you take this away. It creates community bonding, team building, and connection. Our kids don't have a lot of connection with people outside their household. So we need that time to be able for them to do it. One thing I also want to say is, as parents, and I know everybody here is going to agree with me, we know our kids. We know therapies that our kids need ebb and flow. At one point in time, they may need all BCBA. At another point in time, they might need all physical therapy, OT, speech therapy. And at another time, recreational therapy might be what they need. I, as a mom, know my kids. I know them very well. I stay home with them. I work for them. I fight for them. It is my job to know them, to know what they need. And by limiting us to all the therapies to certain things, you're taking away my ability to be able to give them what they need to grow and prosper and be healthy. So I want to leave you with a quote. It says, exercise with others is not just about physical health. It is a tool for building meaningful connections, reinforcing healthy habits, and improving emotional resilience. All of these are important for everyone, but especially needed for our neurodiverse community.
Works a little better, so here I am at this mic. Next up, I would like to bring up Dr. Blair McKissick. Dr. McKissick has 30 years of working with people with disabilities in home and community-based settings. She's currently an associate professor, as well as currently a Medicaid waiver provider. Her academic work focuses in mental health, chronic disease management, and social isolation. Join me in welcoming Blair McKissick.
Words on the paper that I have to follow, so that we make sure we use our time wisely. To our decision makers, imagine for a moment being the parent or caregiver of a child with Down syndrome or autism. Your child is sweet, curious, and wants so badly to engage in the world that they're overwhelmed in loud places, struggle with transitions, and rely on an assistive device to communicate. You spend countless hours in OT, PT, speech therapy, and while those help, they don't prepare your family to navigate something as simple as going to the splash pad or fishing together in the creek. Then you meet a recreational therapist. This is someone who bridges the clinical goals with real life application. Someone who helps your child build independence in the community and helps you adapt activities so that your whole family can be a part. So your whole family can be a part of something that you can participate in safely and joyfully. For 1 or 2 afternoons a week, you breathe, you trust, you hope that they have a good time and they learn something. Now imagine being told you can only have 4 hours of that a month, and you're going to have to choose. And that's also because we have to build in time. We have to reserve that time for required documentation, and we have to bank hours for consistency. So even though the cap is at 6, that doesn't mean you get 6 hours of services. So imagine being told you're only going to get 4, and now you must choose skill building, caregiver relief, or a chance at independence. That's the decision that families across Indiana will be forced to make if this cap is implemented. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for allowing me the chance to speak, and thank you all for showing up and for being here tonight, because your voice matters, and RTs have a voice, and the RT's voice matters also. As I said, my name is Dr. Blair McKissick. I've worked across Indiana with individuals with disabilities and their families for over 30 years in different capacities, and I'm here today because the proposed 6-hour cap on RT is not only harmful, it's fiscally unsound, and it's short-sighted. So rec therapy keeps people with disabilities active, engaged, and out of crisis, preventing ER visits, psychiatric hospitalization, and institutional care. It's one of the only services focused on whole person wellness in real life, not in a controlled setting. When you remove consistent RT access, clients become more isolated and less active, their health declines, families burn out, cost rises, and it lands all back on the Medicaid system. This cap would limit RT to just 45 minutes a week, or 1.5 hours every other week, and that's not enough time to travel, adapt a recreational skill, which is what our expertise is in, participate, and return back home safely. And certainly not enough time to maintain the progress that people make. In 2016, the ACLU sued Indiana over community access limits, and they won. The court ruled that restricting services violated the ADA's integration mandate. This proposed cap creates the same risk of legal action and federal non-compliance. This also directly contradicts the person-centered planning principles. Federal HCBS rules require individualized service decisions based on personal goals and individualized support needs. This one-size-fits-all cap erases that choice. You can't claim to honor personal choice. You can't claim to honor personal choice while imposing blanket time limits on essential services when there are complex cases that need specialized services from competent providers. And there is no clinical replacement for recreation therapists, and I am extremely passionate about that. RTs are uniquely competent and trained to take the therapy goals from other allied health professions like OT, PT, and speech, and implement them into everyday environments. That is part of the continuum of care, and that is the ingredient of the secret sauce. We take the things that they do, and we apply it to real life. We help them to develop those healthy habits. Other providers don't have this scope or that skill. Replacing RTs with unskilled providers in services where there is high turnover and a shortage of providers isn't just ineffective, it's unsafe. And the toll on families and providers will be significant. Parents rely on RTs not just for skill building, but for a sense of stability, just like you heard from our previous speaker. These services foster self-determined independence, give caregivers breathing room, and they prevent regression in the therapeutic process. Take them away and families become overwhelmed. Providers become overwhelmed trying to continue the same level of service they offered before. The systems fracture and the crises escalate at a cost to everyone. Indiana has built a nationally respected waiver system. Other states look to us to model because our system has been successful. That system includes recreation therapy as a vital support. It works, it saves money, and it changes lives. This cap does not solve a problem, it creates a new one. Please remove the proposed limitation on recreation therapy. Protect families, preserve progress, and prevent the costs that we will all later bear. Thank you guys for your consideration.
Unbelievable. Blair, thank you so much. Next up, we have Aaron Beasley. Aaron Beasley is a board-certified behavior analyst who has been in the waiver field for 19 years. His current role is support of community innovations. He is the director of behavior management, participant-assisted care, which is PAC services, as well as the ABA program. Aaron, come on down.
Oh, Blair up? Come on. Thanks for having me, guys. So yeah, I've had the opportunity to work alongside many recreational therapists and agencies as part of interdisciplinary treatment teams over the years, and I've seen firsthand how impactful rec therapy can be in the lives of our consumers and their families. It can be easy to take for granted how naturally neurotypical individuals explore interests, discover leisure activities, and form friendships. But for individuals with intellectual disabilities and developmental disabilities and autism spectrum disorder, those experiences often require structured support, and building these skills takes time and trained specialists who can develop and implement meaningful, evidence-based goals. As a behavioral clinician and BCBA, I have seen how enhancing one's community and leisure skills can improve independence, life skills, and supports the team goals of least restrictive and most independent lives for our clients. Through engaging in play, art, life skills, and community outings, consumers learn to take turns, collaborate with others, express their needs, regulate their emotions, and ultimately lead more independent lives. Play skills are where our consumers first practice workplace behaviors. Often what we call recreation skills are also life skills like cooking, healthy eating, and physical activity, which contribute to longer, healthier lives and fewer preventable medical expenses. Taking turns and following rules builds cooperation and frustration tolerance, critical for both relationships and employment readiness. But beyond personal growth, rec therapy plays a key role in public safety and system sustainability. The enrichment it brings reduces police interventions, behavioral holds, ER visits, and institutional stays that not only protects clients from harm, it saves the system money and preserves client dignity. And while I have a deep appreciation for the work of direct supports professionals, I was a DSP, that's how I fell in love with this field, we can't expect them to fill the gap if rec therapy is capped at just 6 hours a month. Rec therapists are board certified, clinically trained, and have lower turnover. Their work is based on clinical assessment to support a goal-directed treatment plan and is behaviorally informed and focused on prevention. DSPs, while vital to our consumers, often lack behavioral training, experience high turnover, and aren't positioned to deliver enrichment at the same scale of quality. Without an adequate amount of rec therapy, we risk decreasing life coping skills that can increase long-term costs and preventable crises, relying on hospitals, police, and reactive services that are far less effective and far more expensive for some of our clients. To close, I just want to emphasize the human impact through rec therapy. Through rec therapy, our clients gain meaningful community integration, social belonging, and real life skills. Not just supervision and support, but genuine growth toward our client's goal, which is independence. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Aaron. That was awesome. Next up, we have a self-advocate, our first self-advocate of the night. We've got John Rollins. John Rollins comes all the way from Washington. He's proud to come from Washington. Moved here in 2017. He was on the waiting list for the waiver for several years. While he was on the waiting list, he lived in group homes. Approved for the waiver several years ago. He transitioned into independent living and has been receiving recreational therapy for the past couple of years, twice a week, with his current recreational therapist. So, John, if you want to come on down, the stage is all yours.
My name is John, and my therapist is Kenzie. I have been hanging out, and Kenzie and I have been hanging out for about a year. We work on goals like meeting new people, physical fitness, and learning new leisure activities. Since starting rec therapy, I have been able to go to prom with my girlfriend, learn to play disc golf, gone axe throwing, gone on a trip to Chicago and Kings Island, been to a Pacers game and the state fair. Kenzie and I go to weekly community groups to support my goal of socializing, and there I have met new friends and done things like going to Top Golf, karaoke, and painting outdoor pictures, learning new games.
Keep going, John, doing great.
Together too, and playing basketball. Overall, rec therapy allows me to go on a variety of things, outings, and have new experiences. These activities impact my mental health by giving me a chance to go out on my house and provide somebody to talk to. It has helped me physically by doing activities, lose weight, and normally Kenzie and I hang out about 4 or 5 hours per week. If my hours went down to 6 a month, I'll lose opportunities to do what matters to me. Without Kenzie, I will not have transportation to do things I want to do, and my mental health will go down drastically. Some people would say, what about house staff? The difference between the two, I live with 2 roommates and only have 1 staff. Because of this, if I want to go somewhere and roommates don't want to go, then I'm stuck at the house. This limits my ability to socialize due to limited staff. The staff assigned is not always a good fit for me and my roommates. There is a high turnover rate, and my staff is always changing. That makes it hard to have a personal relationship with them like I do my therapists. Some of my staff, I remember their names, and others I can't pronounce their names. My rec therapist works with my behavioralist on treatment plans that works for me. Many of my staff forget my plans or don't even bother following it. Over the year, Kenzie and I have formed a close relationship, and I talk to her about these concerns. All of this to say that rec therapy is very special to me and helped me in a lot of different areas. Please protect our rec therapy.
Thanks, John. That was incredibly brave. I'm serious, but I'm glad you think it's funny. Next up, we have Morgan Ballou, who is a strong advocate for client choice and community inclusion. Morgan has been a case manager for the last 7 years, so join me in welcoming Morgan. Come on down.
Why am I the one who has to follow John? Why do you not improve that? Good job, John. I'm a case manager, like he said. When people first come on the waiver, a lot of times they don't really know what's out there, And 9 times out of 10, after hearing what their goals are, rec therapy is the perfect service. So I just have a couple individuals I want to share a quick story about. I have an individual named Ashley. Ashley, can you raise your hand? There she is. Ashley's family has a pool in their backyard. They have been gracious enough to allow other rec therapists and their individuals to swim at their pool. It has allowed Ashley to meet others, invite other friends to her home that maybe that wouldn't have been a chance that she had that not had her rec therapist not made that connection. Her and her rec therapist also spend a lot of time when not swimming in their pool with friends, finding environments in the community that Ashley is most comfortable in. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ashley, but right now it's Strangeboro.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. And that might have taken, correct me again, a lot of trial and error to find a place that she's comfortable with. I've also just heard that she may be wanting another group of friends with their rec therapist to come and use their pool next week. If you want to go to the pool. I have another individual. Oh my gosh, sorry. I have another individual. His name is Christian. His mom is a paramedic. A couple weeks ago, there was a 5K, 3.1 miles, if you're not aware, downtown that the funds contributed to first responders. His mom being a first responder, she thought it would just be an amazing opportunity. Him and his rec therapist took months prepping for this 5K. The videos and the pictures she sent me are amazing. And then it furthermore allowed Christian to go at this event that his mother was kind of working and helping put together with his rec therapist. She was able to do kind of what she needed to do, knowing he was taken care of at the event with his rec therapist. If the rec therapist wasn't there, one, he would have probably never done the 5K. Two, he probably would have just been at home with maybe a babysitter, not working on any skills. They finished in about 48 minutes, which I think is just absolutely incredible. Kind of piggybacking off Christian, he also likes automatic doors. We love that he loves automatic doors. It's not always safe though. Him and his rec therapist, while not training for this 5K, have gone into different environments. The Children's Museum is a big one, and have practiced walking safely through automatic doors. Again, a skill his mom didn't know where to start, how to even correct this behavior. Again, we love that he loves automatic doors, but there is a time and place. So now he is also able to go to almost any grocery store that has an automatic door with no issues. That has taken them years on top of running the 5K. Also piggybacking what Jen said, I have an individual, Eric, who graduated high school, immediately got on the waiver, and was like, now what? He meets with his rec therapist 5 hours a week. He is on the FSW waiver, and they have allocated their whole entire budget to just rec therapy. He is able to stay home alone. When he's not with his rec therapist, he is home alone, which is fine, but he would rather be with his rec therapist. If they were to make these cuts on rec therapy, I don't even know what I would tell him or his mother, because it will change, not to be dramatic, but it will probably change their lives. He wanted to build confidence. I saw the word empower over there, so I'm stealing that. But he is an example of someone who has just become empowered by rec therapy. He wasn't able to go to a gym. He did not feel comfortable going into a gym setting. They started really slow, walks around the neighborhood, moved their way up to an apartment gym. Now he goes to Planet Fitness, which is a pretty big gym, and he's completely fine. And he is now able to go alone. Without the rec therapist, I don't think that would have been the case. To talk about the outings that the 6-hour cap would limit is just crazy. Bailey is a rec therapist. There she is. Bailey just this summer has gone to both Holiday World, and last week she sent me a picture of herself on a roller coaster at King's Ice with her individuals in a group setting. With a 6-hour limit, going to Holiday World, mostly public pools, definitely Kings Island, would not even be able to be discussed. It wouldn't even be an option, unfortunately. I just want to end by saying the 6 hours cap wouldn't be anyone's choice. It definitely wouldn't be my choice, and I can think of every single individual on my caseload who will be negatively impacted by the 6-hour cap. As a case manager, my goal is to present them with all the options of what the waiver can do, and we are just furthermore limiting their choices when some of our individuals only have limited amount of choice anyways. So then to tell them that I want to see my rec therapist 6 hours a week, to then be told, you have the money in your budget, and it's been allowed for years, but now all of a sudden it's not allowed. I again don't know how I would have those conversations with my individuals. It wouldn't be any of their choice, and I do think their mental health would greatly plummet due to the proposed funds. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have one more speaker tonight. She's not on the board. That does not mean that she's any less important than the rest of you guys. We've got Nikki Morrison, who's the mother of JD. Nikki has been a physical education teacher for 28 years. She has worked alongside Best Buddies, Special Olympics, and various recreational and adapted sport programs. Nikki, come on down.
Choked up here. First of all, this is really important to my family. Our son JD is 24. He's participated in Best Buddies in school. He's participated in Special Olympics. Loved both of those organizations. They are phenomenal organizations. I have worked alongside both of those organizations, but it's not the same as being independent in your community and being able to choose daily, weekly, monthly, what you want to do. All of us have the privilege who don't have disabilities, who have a vehicle, who can get up as an adult, get in our car, choose where we go, choose what friends we hang out with. We have that independence. Rec therapy gives JD some of those opportunities. It's not fully the same, but for him it's amazing. He has a therapist who comes to his house, who makes him laugh, picks him up, takes him to the places that he enjoys, whether it's going to Audi Golf. We have a pool in our backyard of which he doesn't choose to swim in because he loves to go to Freedom Springs. So, we have a pool. JD won't swim in our pool, but he'll go swim there. He'll go swim at Holiday World. He'll do because those are the things that he likes to do. He also has someone guiding him who's qualified. You know, Kate's qualified. He has goals that he works on. He has a lot of challenges with his speech. He's been in speech therapy forever, I feel like. Finally, his last speech therapist finally just said, JD has a stutter. That is part of life. He's going to learn to work through it. You know how defeating that is as a parent to hear stuff like that. But some of that too is confidence and social anxiety. And him having rec therapy helps him work on those skills. So he now is starting to order out in the community. Albeit he has to go to some similar places. Chick-fil-A is his place, but he's getting there. And when he doesn't have the full confidence to order in the community, Morgan's working with him on using his apps on his phone. That's the most recent thing that we worked on, was downloading apps on our phone, or on his phone, so he knows how to use those. So maybe his words aren't plentiful, maybe he doesn't carry on a conversation with the person behind the counter, but he can go out in the community and order from Chick-fil-A. That's huge. And he doesn't want to do that with mom and dad. He doesn't want to spend, let's be real, he's 24. That's not his goal, that's not his mission. The other thing is we're gone, we work all day long. JD is independent enough that he can stay home. I'm very fortunate because I am a school teacher that I work about 10-15 minutes from home. So I can get home in a hurry if I need to. I have a neighbor that's close by that's home that can be there in an emergency. But I'm going to tell a quick story that I think rec therapy has helped with. Last year, JD independently was cooking something in a microwave, and we had some gold-covered plates. He knows he's not supposed to put tinfoil in the microwave. He knows all that stuff, but it was a celebration plate. He threw his corn dogs on the plate, and in the microwave they went. He turned it on. Yeah, you guys all know what happened. Fired, okay? But we had taught him how to call in an emergency. He called me. He called 911 independently. He kept the microwave door shut so the fire didn't spread. But his confidence to have that conversation on the phone, I firmly believe, is piggybacked off of rec therapy. He goes out into the community. He and Kate, he's meeting other people. He's got Gunnar and Hannah and his friends and other people that he's around. And that gave him the confidence to make that phone call and be understood. I spoke with the firemen, and the firemen specifically sought me out and wanted me to know that he did a great job communicating his needs in that emergency. I credit that to rec therapy, not to speech therapy. No, I mean, whatever. I mean, I love speech therapists. They were amazing when he was younger. But rec therapy now is building those confidence skills for him, okay? And it's also getting him out in the community. I've been a physical educator for 28 years. We gotta move. We gotta move not only for our physical health, but for our mental health. Being able to interact with others is huge. 6 hours a month is not gonna do that for him. It's not gonna give him that consistency of confidence that he needs. He will regress, and when Kate comes and gets in, I'm gonna hear, we're trying this, we're back working on this again, because that's what happened when he was in school. That's why he ended up with extended school year, because we had to go back and work on some of those things. That's part of the challenge, but that's okay. We keep rec hours his choice. He will choose rec time and again. We don't use the waiver for anything but rec therapy. That's what he chooses to use that budget for. Please consider the individuals who are making those choices when we discuss cuts. It's their budget. I understand that the state issues that, but the individuals know what's helping them be productive members of society. And I think that's what our government wants all of us to be, is productive members of society. Being able to interact in our community will allow that. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys, everybody who shared. Awesome, powerful stuff. I'd like to go ahead and move right along. We've got about 50 minutes left, so I want to make sure that we have enough time to get some questions in and then provide time for open testimony. So let's go ahead and break into the Q&A portion. So if you're on the panel, go ahead and come on up here. I'm going to wait till they're up here and then I'll introduce them so you guys know who they are. How we're going to do this is, if you guys have a question, this section is going to be for questions only. Let's hold any testimony until the next section, okay? I'm going to have someone on this side of the room, Maggie, is going to have a mic, as well as Kate over here is going to have a mic. If you guys have a question, raise your hand, and we will come out to you with a mic. Sorry, Cody has a mic, and Maggie has a mic. But let's go ahead and talk through this fantastic panel that we've got. All the way on the right here. I guess that's the left. It's your right. We've got Jen Nichols. Jen Nichols is the mother of a 9-year-old boy who has received once or twice recreational therapy for the last 8 years. We've got Susan Norman, who is a recreational therapist, kind of a jack of all trades. She's worked as a recreational therapist manager for 14 years. She served as a case manager for 8 years before that. We've got Lori Schweier. Lori is the co-owner of New Leaf Recreation. She has served in the community-based waivers for 17 years. She has volunteered on the board of RTI, which is our body here in the state, Recreational Therapists of Indiana. She's also the guardian of an individual who receives 15 hours a month of recreational therapy. Morgan Ballou, case manager, we've already talked about here. She's been doing it for 7 years. And then last but not least, we've got Joe Kleiler. Joe's a self-advocate. He's been receiving weekly recreational therapy for the last 5 years. So go ahead and raise your hand if you have a question, and somebody will come over and find you with a mic.
How does the 6-hour cap affect the quality of my therapy?
So 6 hours is really going to come down to about 4 hours of rec therapy a month if you are doing weekly. And if you do every other week, it'll be an hour and a half. That's because as therapists, we have to do paperwork, and we also are banking some hours for times throughout the month or throughout the year where there's 5 days out of the month that you're being seen versus 4. As collectively, I think we can all agree that we don't feel it'll be as effective. We won't be able to either see you as consistently, and consistency is really important for rec therapy and learning skills. We also feel like 45 minutes, well, if you do weekly, won't be enough time to really even get into and work on the goals and objectives that most clients are setting for themselves. So we just anticipate our service effectiveness not being what it currently is.
As a rec therapist in one of the outer counties from Indianapolis, Greenwood area, I know you guys have a lot more to do around here, but in a 4-hour time period, I can't even tell you how long it would take us to just travel to certain community activities, events, if that were the goals that we were working on. So that's where I could see a big impact if you had community goals you were working on.
To piggyback off that, the community goals, the drive time, even serving Marion County, which like you said, we do have a lot of things close by. I think it will still affect those in the Indy and Greenwood area. I can't imagine what 6 hours would look like. Those in counties that have to maybe drive 30, 45 minutes just to get to an outing, it wouldn't be worth it. It just wouldn't be an option, which would obviously affect their services.
To add to that, rural communities is a really big place that we're really concerned about, because in order to even get any type of service, especially even rec therapy, a lot of clients have to allocate quite a large budget to have a rec therapist come out just for that transportation time and to be able to make it work within a therapist schedule. That's an issue. I build caseloads for our company. I built over 200 caseloads. That's something that we struggle with. If you're going to a rural community, we need to have either a larger amount of hours to be able to transport you, and we also have to have clients close to you to be able to serve that area. Otherwise, we just can't in order to make a caseload work for a therapist. So just being real honest.
Okay, new question. Can you speak to how recreational therapy has been effective in different ways more than traditional therapeutic offerings?
Can you repeat that question?
Can you speak to how recreational therapy has been effective in different ways than more traditional therapeutic offerings? Traditionals in quotes.
So there was a very long period of time after my son got his autism diagnosis that he would simply not attend any other therapies. We started First Steps when he was 16 months old, and we got his autism diagnosis at 21 months because he literally failed every test or every question on the test. We were in the 1 percentile. There is no 0 percentile. 1 is the literal bottom. So we were fortunate enough to get on the waiver by 3. But when we would have other therapists come into the house, my son would sort of sit with them for 10 or 15 minutes, and then he would grab their shoes and drop them at the door and just go to his room. Like, I'm done. And we spent 8 or 9 months just trying to work up like an extra minute. I really lucked into getting a rec therapist when we joined the waiver. I was looking at other therapies, and my case manager was like, but we have this new guy, and if you want rec, you should do it now. And from the very first session, my son did the entire time. Has there been any time in the last 8 years that Parker has failed to complete a therapy session? I don't think there has. Later, we were able to add things that were functional, like speech and OT and behavioral. But rec therapy gave us all of our first wins. And in those first years, we gave all of our hours to rec therapy. My son could barely leave the house. He would injure himself. He would get upset. We had our rec therapist come into our home and work with him for some hours a week. And then we started doing outings and just working on really basic things like how to talk to other kids, how to play other games. We would go to the park
and he would walk around and be like, do you know octonauts? And if the kid said no, he would just go sit on the bench and be sad, because he had no concept of how to talk or be with another child if it wasn't his preferred subject. At 9, actually he'll be 10 next week. He's so excited. He is now in full-time school for the first time in his life. He's in a normal classroom. He is managing that with the social skills, the distress tolerance, the ability to advocate for himself, the ability to look at a task that he knows he can't do with his level of motor skills and adjust it so he can complete it, all of which rec therapy gave us.
Yeah, I really connect to OTs, PTs, and rec therapists. We'd love to co-treat together. As a team, there's so much we can do together. I think it was Blair that had said that the rec therapist can find a way to implement the goals that the OT sets where they accomplish them more. Personally, I have seen it happen. I walked into a setting that had 2 OTs trying to get an individual to complete a goal. I think within 5 minutes, I grabbed a balloon and a ball, and we were there. So I think if we could all work together, that I think we miss out on so much by not co-treating as much as I would like, personally.
I want to go back to what he said a little bit ago about social skills. About 5 years ago when I started rec therapy, I was shy. My mom is right there. She can tell you I was shyer than a lot. When I first met my rec therapist, I mean, you could tell him I would knock him out of my room for anything.
I didn't have anything to say.
But after time and years of working and social skills and everything, it led me up here to where I'm talking to you all guys today.
But it sounds like you guys, almost like you guys are.
What is your experience between PAC, DHI, respite, and CTRS?
As a case manager, a lot of those services don't have the type of goals that rec therapy is required to have. For instance, respite you don't need a goal for. It is essentially, for lack of a better word, kind of babysitting. You're not working on any goals. It's more just keeping them safe, which is fine if that's what you need in the moment. But those services can't be compared goal-wise to rec therapy really at all. When it comes to writing a PCISP, the goals are just way different in regards to rec therapy. They can't really.
I've been asked to repeat the question because not everyone could have heard it, so forgive me if I get it slightly wrong, but they asked what the experience is with like DSP, respite, and PAC. Yes? Yeah. So from the parent perspective, we waited years to be able to get a DSP for my son. I called a lot of companies, and the second question after like, where do you live, is do you have someone? We don't have anyone. You have to find a friend or a neighbor or a grandparent. So I think we went 6 or 7 years with no options there. My father retired and decided to become my son's DSP to sort of help give me a break, which has been lovely. My dad is a wonderful grandpa. He was a truck driver for 30 years. Like, everything he knows about autism, we have had to teach him. My therapists have had to teach him. So whereas he is a wonderful addition to our family and our care package, he is not qualified to teach skills, to assess what else Parker needs, or even to really problem solve, this isn't working, what else? It's sort of equivalent to saying a medical assistant is kind of a doctor, like go to them and not a doctor. There's a whole world of training and information that DSPs don't get. And oftentimes they're a family member who's had no specialized training beyond CPR and a basic one-day class.
I'll just say as well, because I was a DSP before case manager, I'm hard to believe at my young age. And thanks. But one of the things biggest difference DSP, case manager, to rec therapy that I have found is the fact that rec therapist is all encompassing. I can assess the individuals, I can write the program, I can implement the goals. That was such a struggle as a case manager. I could write the goals, but it's never going to be implemented the way you intended it to be when you wrote it. And the DSPs don't have that opportunity to write the goals themselves either. And often you'll find they can be members of the team, but it's hard enough to schedule a quarterly meeting to get 3 people to attend. So when you're working around that many schedules, it's hard to get the input from the DSP, the ones that are actually working with them.
So my brother, who receives services on the waiver, we've tried to utilize PAC with him. I was told the same thing, to find my own. I do not have a family member that can work with him for $15 an hour and make a living. So we were not able to utilize that. The person I did find, it was a side thing to pick up whenever she got an opportunity to see him, and it's very hard to schedule that and to maintain that. And that was a family member. It only lasted 6 months, and she wasn't able to do it anymore. His rec therapist, Pete, has been with him now for 6, 7 years, I don't even know. So longevity-wise, between his if you guys want to know, his DHI, or his residential provider, he has all new staff about every 4 to 6 weeks. So, and they're not specifically trained, and they do not file or follow his behavior plan. I had an IR for abuse, neglect, and exploitation because staff lied to him and said he was going on a date, and he was not. And that was just this week. So we don't have those issues with rec therapy the way that I have had with him with his DHI and his residential staffing.
What if I want to do an activity that is longer than 6 hours?
So depending on what the activity is, if you were to want to do an activity longer than 6 hours, there's a few options. You could choose to private pay for additional hours with your therapist. Most people cannot afford the rate of $67.24 an hour for adding on every month. The other option is you're borrowing against other months of rec therapy. So, let's say you want to do something special around Christmas time. You may be borrowing against January or February's hours. You could potentially do group outings with other clients where the therapist is splitting the time for the day. So, for example, we're taking clients on a water park trip next week, and it's a 12-hour day. I take more than one client. I don't bill each client 12 hours. That's an option, but it's not an option for everyone, especially our high need or high behavior individuals that need the direct one-on-one support that rec therapy is intended to be. So there are a few options for people that are looking to do that, but none of them are all settings, but in some there's definitely a lot of wiggle room with that, and that should be a little closer defined. And I think we could cut a lot of cost and provide more direct care to individuals with that. Option 4 also comes with another idea, which is to invest in a system to track clinician-client interactions to prevent what we call stacked billing, which is where you're taking 2 people out at the same time. We're required to bill them separately, but that is not always the case. And there's no tracking system, there's no way for the state to identify the individual A that's going out is being billed only half of the time, and individual B that's going out at the same time is being billed the other half. Clinicians could potentially be billing client A and client B for the entire time they're out. There is no system in the state from the state to prevent that. So that is another option the state could do, and it would eliminate some fraud. And then look into, and this is my favorite one, residential staff to client ratios versus payment made to providers per client. And what I mean by this is some homes that have 3 and 4 individuals, they're getting enough money based on the client hourly rate or the hourly rate for residential to be providing double staffing. Anybody have double staffing in their house? Okay, for the record, we have 1 person with their hand up in a room of 120 plus people. Yeah, I don't have anyone on my caseload either. So looking at that and really watching what the residential providers are doing with their staff to client ratio would be a way the state could save money. And then there's my favorite, which I think is probably all of your guys's and really is the best option, which is to leave these vital services alone and to find cost savings elsewhere in the state budget.
Does new stuff get rid of HCBS settings rule?
Does it negate the HCBS settings?
Since I have the microphone, I'll say it. Yes, these new proposed caps do violate the HCBS settings rule, and this is not a state rule. This comes down from Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. And if you guys, I don't know if it's still up there, my last slide should have a QR code that goes to all of the references and resources that I pulled all of that information for that financial slideshow, and on there includes the CMS presentation for the HCBS settings rule and the state's interpretation of that as well. So yes, this would violate that. You are supposed to have the right to choose your supports that work best for you, who provides them, and where they're provided. And if they cap us at 6, that does not allow you to choose to be in the community as you wish.
Piggybacking off of that, and individual's choice, there is already a cap on all the waivers. The FSW is 26 and some change, so I'm with you. Why are we further putting another cap? And then as a case manager, you're kind of just making my job harder to have to explain, even though you have the money in your budget and you are making the choice to put all of the money, all the 24,000 or whatever, if you take out case management, into rec therapy, that's not an option. So then you're left with them only using maybe 14,000, and there's 12,000 left over, and you're telling them that they can't make the choice that they want to make when the cap is already there with the 26,000 as is.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
So I'm going to borrow one of these indefinitely. There's another QR code. I promise you there's going to be a whole lot of QR codes. This one is a really cool one. It brings you to a 3-question survey. The data that we get from this survey is going to help with some of the rebuttals that we have at state level. So take a second, scan this thing, fill out 3 questions. It would greatly help us. So the last portion, we've got 20 minutes left. Yes. Why are we short? Lori, you want to answer that question? Why are we short $1 billion?
Because when the state redid the budgets and the rates, they used pre-COVID numbers specifically for the pathways waiver. And then when they looked at it and actually ran the budget, they realized, oh, well, okay, hold on, go back. So they found originally that they had $1 billion, about 990 some million, I should say, that we had an overage in the Medicaid side. So they moved it to the general fund. Then when they actually came down time to put all the numbers into play, they realized they actually needed that $1 billion, and that is why we are where we are. So, and on that resource page, there's also a link to the AP article that discusses that $1 billion shortfall.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, what's up?
Do the migrants get this Medicaid waiver? No, they do not.
So this is really based off of need. You have to go through a grueling process of identifying someone's disability along with their level of need. And then there's a 3-year wait list. So
They can't possibly get it and take money away from U.S. citizens then.
I don't know if this has anything to do with immigration. This has everything to do.
It has nothing to do with immigration. If you're giving money to migrants that should be given to U.S. citizens, then that's hurting us, U.S. citizens.
I have no idea how to answer that other than to say that I feel it's a responsibility of all of us to take care of anyone that has a disability. For me, it's not really the immigration status, but I don't know specifically how that's screened in this situation.
Thanks, Lori. All right, so who would like to provide a testimonial? I see Maggie over here.
Can you hear me? Okay. I actually just have a comment because I find it interesting that there's the $1 billion deficit when it was just reported on July 15th that the state has $2.5 billion in reserves. 41 million of that is Medicaid contingency and reserve, with a $1.1 billion sitting in a rainy day fund. So why are we here?
answer that? I can answer that for you. Okay, so that reserve that we have is actually overall the entire state reserve, and it is because we have been overspending as a state. We used to have a $5 billion surplus. So now a big portion of that is being reserved for emergency situations, specifically with Medicaid. If you look at the article that they listed, there's a Medicaid, emergency fund. So that is really there. I mean, I have a savings account. I'm assuming a lot of the parents here probably have a savings account. In the event of an emergency, we would need it. We're just looking at a savings account on a very large scale. So, does that make sense? If there's an overage, why can't it go back? The overage, that is not just from this year. That is from, in general, where we are at. And we have gone down $2.5 billion in the state of Indiana compared to the $5 billion we had pre-COVID. So we are saving, but we also, if you look at the actual budget, the full article that they listed from, I always go to the Associated Press, they said in there that we actually were close to $1 billion shortfall, or going to be at the end of this year. So that $2.5 billion is really there to help us if we can't meet that. And part of the reason why they're citing that shortfall for us is we're a manufacturing state, and the tariffs are taking a toll right now because everything is moving out of state and whatnot. And that's where a lot of our money comes from, is from manufacturing here.
So my name is Chloe. I've been on the autism waiver basically my entire life. I've dealt with disabilities and mental health my entire life. And my family actually helped me fight for this waiver and to get the services that I get on a weekly basis. And I also have had a very positive impact from all of the therapies that I get through the waiver. And I also wanted to take a second to talk to the people that are here through the legislature about the fact and have them think, do they actually know people that have disabilities and go through the things that we go through on a daily basis to sit here and do the things that they're doing. And I also wanted to say that there are people that their therapists are the only support systems that they have in their lives. They don't have family, they don't have anything to fall back on, and for you guys to take it away is just, crazy and out of pocket. And I also wanted to say that I've been worried about these budget cuts for a couple months. I knew that it was coming, and the fact that people can see this like a big red truck is just insane. And I just think that you guys should take a second to think about the people that you're going to be cutting from this, because it's going to affect them very negatively and impact their lives.
My name is Steve Lawson, and this is my wife Donna and our son Steven, and his therapist here, Lindsay, who he considers his family as well. And seems unconscionable that I understand there are needs for budgets and there are needs for reconciliation and for cuts, but it looks like the reason we're here is not because the money was being misspent or misappropriated, but because of an error elsewhere. And it seems unconscionable to take this out on special needs kids and adults, who we would consider to be the least of us, and who we would consider to be the most at risk and most likely to get hurt. Stephen has had all kinds of therapy since he was born. He was born at 26 weeks. And he's just learning with this for the first time. And he had 2 responses, one I won't repeat. But the other one is he likes old TV shows and stuff, and he was watching Happy Days every day. He said the Fonz would say this is not cool. Put the thumbs down. His other one was, of course, he wished Gibbs from NCS was here to give some people a head slap. But it's been said earlier that for special needs kids and adults, their world is quite small. We don't have family around or a support system. My wife has been wonderful at taking care of Stephen his entire life. And so it is a way to expand his world. Stephen has gone out. He's gone out with Lindsay and Belly from time to time. And they do various things versus its activities, exercise, how to be responsible. And also, as been said before too, when something happens and we cannot have therapy, then he just falls apart and gets very angry and frustrated, upset, and our life is difficult because of that. It is also nice for this time of therapy for the parents to get a little bit of a break. And for my wife, it's not a break. When Stephen is gone, she runs to the grocery store, buys groceries. It's also time for her to schedule her doctor's appointments and things that she needs to have done. And so that little bit of time is not time that's wasted or babysitting, but it's time where he gets what he needs. And it gives her a small break to also take care of herself and some things, the things that she needs. And we need to look at other ways to handle this deficit. It's not caused by anyone here or involved with these programs. And really think about the lives of the families and the children greatly impacted by the potential cuts. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is James. Jake Newhart is my recreational therapist. He is cool to hang with, and we go to movies and go to sports games and do pickleball and to the do cool thing, other cool thing places too, and play Pokemon Go. I have anxiety and other things too, and home time staff take me out as well, even that some days, and I hang at hot tub and at the LA Fitness and Special Olympics and Best Buddies, and I go to church too. I need to keep my rec therapy hours to do all my activities. Please and thank you.
Next up, we have Mariah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mariah, 11 years, and I have Down syndrome. I'm 25 years old. I have been working with Tyler. 4 years. I see them 2 times a week, and we do both group and one class. I want to tell you a little bit about what we do and why I matter to me. One is my goal is to lose weight and get my puppy. So we do a lot of things to help me work out and feel better about myself. I use the gym. I do push-ups and things like this. We also do yoga, dance, go to the pool, and even play with, real sport. That is fun. A gets me number 2. I so learn how to eat healthy. I like eat egg, sausage, salad, chicken, and yes, I still love my weight too. But it's not just about working out and food with therapy. Help me meet new people and have fun. I love birthday. We go gang, go night out. Help me and even people. It help me feel like I fit and a make me feel happy. I am. With therapy was opened my life to better things. I'm strong. I eat better and I have lost it. I had 32 pounds. I am. And I have made new friends. Please don't take our time away. If us, my life, our touch, our time, better. If I get taller, I love him. Please don't change my life. Better about my hobby, my goal, and my life exercise. It's
Okay, just a few things. I have a guardian, and I have a very trusted therapist, Brett. Current goals for me is getting plenty of exercise, socialization, and within the next 5 years, I may not be able to drive anymore. Without my rec therapist, navigating losing my eyesight is going to be quite difficult. Don't take away our hours.
Hello, this is Elizabeth, and I rely on recreational therapy so much that when I was at home like four and a half years ago, I was working on getting a surgery that I really needed. I needed to lose 20 pounds. Ever since my recreational therapist, Autumn Dishroom, was introduced into my life, I've been really, really grateful for her to help me get more physically active. And when I met her, in my head I said, she's like a living angel in my life. And if recreational therapy gets to get away from all of us that rely on recreational therapy, I do not know where I would be today.
Thank you.
it's me again, Joseph Pyler. I didn't get to talk much in the Q&A, so I thought I'd talk more. So, again, you heard, I was not the most bravest kid. I used to always hide away in my room, doing all that stuff. But then my physical therapist, my rec therapist, he helped me right before the pandemic hit. But after that, it went down, it went back up, down. But after COVID, was over with, everything started to go back up again. These past 5 years has really developed my skills. My dad just called me. Anyway, so yeah, everything's been better these years. I got a girlfriend, I got my license, I've been able to, make new friends, go to a different school. It's all because of my physical, my therapist. And I want this opportunity for everybody else. It's not, because I know other people struggle more than I do. That's just a fact. People have it worse off than me. People have it worse off than others. And I believe that this 6-hour mark will devastate most other families. So, yeah.
And then we had a couple people write some. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Nope, that's fine. I didn't know. Oh.
Hi, my name is Victoria, or Victoria woman, and I have been with Bailey for quite some time. She goes with my best friend Olivia, and I really don't want to take this away from hours away from me, and I really want to see this baby. I just miss my great aunt, Casey, she's a special one.
This is a true living example of what these people do. God has a true gift with these people in yellow for these little kids that need this. I'm Joseph Plyler's mom, if you don't know him, who keeps standing up. He got diagnosed with sensory processing disorder and anxiety when he was 2. It took me till 6 to get his autistic diagnosis. We did not get him anything until Medicaid waiver until he was 9. He didn't get his therapy until he was 11. And then he got blessed with his rec buddy at age 11, or 10. And 5 years later, this child had what he called crippling anxiety, wouldn't come out of his room, wouldn't talk to anybody. We did not think he could go to high school. We did not think he could go to school at all. We never could dream that he could drive a car. He just got his license on Friday. He went from a 24 grade, he had 24 kids in his 8th grade class to Greenwood High School, which to me is mind-boggling. He got his license last week, and I'm telling you, I could have never done it. So, if all of you guys with yellow shirts on, if we could all just give them a round of applause. And thank Tyler for standing and making this all possible tonight, because they live, eat, and breathe the love and passion for our kids to make sure that they have a better day tomorrow. So, thank you.
You guys all got me really emotional before I have to read some of these written testimonials. I'll only get to read 1 or 2 because then we'll have to do some closing comments just to be respectful of everyone's time.
But some of rec therapy has helped me how to learn how to be comfortable and talk to a peer and friend. It supported me in learning job skills when I volunteered with my rec therapist at the public library and experiencing different activities and getting health benefits from it. And then we have, I love my RT, Caitlin. She is one of my best friends. We do crafts, cooking, and swimming. RT makes my life better. And then another quick one. Hi, my name is Andre. I have a lot of positive vibes. The company he's with is Assisted Independence. They've done a lot for him, such as giving him advice on things he didn't understand until it was explained to him clearly, and now he finally understands how they help him be better than he was before. He really appreciates recreational therapy.
All right, guys, I want to be respectful of everybody's time, so our meeting has come to an end, unfortunately. I know that there are more people out there with questions, and there are more people that have things to say, and it's understandable. If you have questions, stay after, network, talk to one of us in a yellow shirt. If you have additional testimony, find My Voice, My RT on Facebook or the website. Find Recreational Therapists of Indiana on Facebook or their website. They have tons of action items, tons of news, tons of events are coming out. Thank you guys for having me.